Welcome to the making of our mermaid tail video number 2. On our first video, we made our homemade monofin. So you can, if you haven't seen that video, you might want to go back and look at that first. Or if you have a monofin already, this will still work with the monofin that you have. So now we're going to make the actual tail for your mermaid. What you want to do is start by getting some butcher paper and have your mermaid lay down on the floor on the butcher paper and place your monofin at her feet. So then you trace out of the butcher paper your monofin pattern, as you can see here, and then trace around the tail too. You can see the tail part here on the bottom. We traced around the tail, so we have our pattern. I had to do a little bit of an extension because our tail was a little bit wider than our butcher paper, so I just taped some extra paper on the end to get that. After you trace your mermaid, you'll see my tracing mark here, and I allowed about a 3/4 inch seam allowance around from where I traced her. Then I pinned the pattern onto the doubled swimsuit fabric and then cut out the swimsuit fabric. So this is the pattern and both layers of the swimsuit fabric. Okay, so once you have that done, then you can unpin your pattern and save it, because you might want to make different colors with your mermaid tail. And we're going to edit just a little bit to let me get this unpinned, and then we'll be right back. Alright, so what we did is, after we unpinned the pattern from our fabric, you take the bottom, what's going to be the bottom of the fin, and you're going to sew a small hem around the edge. I tried to do about 1/4 inch because I want the tail to be long enough. So just sew a 1/4 inch seam right around the bottom of both sections of the tail. Then we're going to sew our tail together. So you put right sides of the fabric together and sew along both seams. And then we're going to do something special when we get to the end of the tail. So we'll show you that in just a second. So here we go. We're going to sew, and we may edit parts of this out because it's just straight sewing. It is slick. Most bathing suit material is very slippery. So if you need to pin it together, you can do so that you don't get off track. So we'll edit some of these bits out, but we're going to sew right down both seams of the fabric with the right sides together. We are back, and we've sewed both side seams all the way down with a 3/4 seam allowance. And now what we're going to do is sew the bottom of the tail so that the monofin will stay in, but that you can get it in from the bottom without having a zipper. Some monofins have a zipper, and I just didn't think that a zipper would hold up very well swimming in the water. So what we're going to do is leave a small opening. You can see on this side I've already completed it. So I sewed from the corner of the tail to about midway where the bump comes in the tail. What you want to do is measure the bottom of your monofin where you have the flip-flops, because the flip-flops don't bend very much. So you're going to want to allow for the flip-flops to go through. So kind of at the widest part of the flip-flops, measure, and you're going to want your opening to be at least that wide so that you can get the monofin in. And then the plastic pieces are very flexible, so they'll be able to bend and slide into the bottom of your tail. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to continue sewing on this side to make a pocket, and then once that's sewn and you just fold your monofin in, you can put it from the top too if you want. You can put it down from the top. But that way, if your mermaid wants to take her monofin off and walk in her tail, or sort of walk in her tail, she'll have an opening here that her feet can come through. So that's what we're going to do next. So let's sew from the corner to right about here where I've marked the pin when I measured my monofin. Alright, so we're back and we have turned our fin right side out. And you can see we still have our hole here for our monofin, and I just double checked to make sure that our monofin fit in well, and it does. Now, in order to keep your monofin from showing in the spot where we left open to slide it in, we are going to do a hem along the bottom, and I'm going to make it a good inch, maybe even an inch and a half, and that'll give that extra flip at the bottom like a fin. And we're going to hem it just to where we put in the hole for the fin. So you don't want to hem it any farther than that, because that'll close up your hole. But we want to make it to where the fin stays up and it won't show in the hole that we made. So we're going to do that next. Okay, so we finished sewing the sides, and you can see that the sides of the end, and you can see we've put our monofin in, and when it flaps you don't see the bottom of the monofin. You can see how it fits in there nice and snug, and so it will hold because you have this stitched at the edge, and then you still have that opening where you can get your monofin in and out. And we while we were gone too, we just sewed a casing around the top with some elastic to help hold our tail on. So now Raina is going to put on the fin. We're just going to roll it down. Okay, Raina, stick your feet in there. Raina, you're not. See the flip-flops? Slide your feet right into the flip-flops. Okay, are they on their flip-flops?
Yeah.
Okay, now stand up and just pull it up.
Ooh, that's pretty. I like that. Oh gosh, it's stuck.
It's not stuck, you were just standing on it. There you go. Stand up. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, don't pull it up so everybody can see the tail. And if your tail is a little bit long on the top, you can always just roll it down.
This is
But
awesome.
there is our mermaid. And there's her monofin. Sit down and flip for us.
Okay.
You can see how she can flip her fin. And there it is. One homemade swimmable mermaid tail. And like I said, the combinations that we were looking at to buy for her birthday were about $120 for a monofin and the swimmable tail. And here we have our custom monofin and tail for about $20. So, and then you have the pattern that you can.
And the fabric was from Joanne's fabric store.
Yeah, we did. You can get your, depending on how much you want to spend on your swimsuit fabric, the price can go up, but we saved our pattern and we now can make many more colors of fins. So, are you happy with your fin, Raina?
Yes, I am. So this was my birthday present, but it was early. We didn't make it.
Yes. So now we just have to wait for warm enough weather so you can swim.
It's like the middle of winter right now.
Well, not quite the middle of winter,
It's
but
like the end.
it is the end of February, and we just still have snow on the ground. So, but when summertime comes, there will be a purple finned mermaid in the pool. All right. So we hope that you try this pattern for yourself, and let us know in the comments if you've had luck with it, or feel free to post your picture of your tail too. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Happy swimming.